Hello, dear friends. I wanted to rest on Sunday, but current events overtake me. Opinion piece. Cryptocurrencies will be regulated. Keys to the new legal regulations. Executive order on digital assets. The decree orders to investigate risks. Cryptocurrencies control will be tightened. Cryptocurrencies increase in value with the order. Financial control of cryptocurrencies to be tightened. Fed urged to create a central bank digital dollar. BRICS are creating a new global payment system. A new world oil order is coming, opines Alfredo Jalife-Rahme. Let's start. To ensure the responsible development of digital assets, this is the title of the first executive order signed by the White House on March 9th on cryptocurrencies and on a possible central bank digital currency. An executive order that broadly implies a call for a tightening of financial control over cryptocurrencies. The document does not announce any restrictive measures, but will lay the groundwork for more focused federal oversight. On Wednesday, March 9th, Joe Biden issued an executive order to ensure the responsible development of digital assets and initiate an investigation into the risks involved with the intention of creating new regulation to protect investors in such assets. An executive order that, broadly speaking, implies a call for the tightening of financial control over cryptocurrencies. The order provides a basis for numerous studies to help guide and understand the still new but rapidly growing technology. In quotes, the rise of digital assets creates an opportunity to strengthen leadership in the global financial system and the technological frontier, but also has substantial implications for consumer protection, financial stability, national security, and climate risk, the order states. The order mandates an investigation into the risk involved in digital assets, with the intention of creating new regulation to protect investors in such assets, sometimes welcomed for the time being by those involved in those markets. The order contemplates key priorities such as financial stability, illicit finance, leadership in the global financial system, economic competitiveness, financial inclusion, and responsible innovation. With this executive order, the Biden administration seeks to establish the first federal digital asset strategy and explore the establishment of a central bank digital currency, also known as a digital dollar similar to a cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies rose on Wednesday, March 9th by as much as 2 percentage points after Biden announced his long-awaited executive order on digital assets that took a supportive stance toward the industry. Lack of regulator clarity has also often been cited as the barrier to greater institutional adoption in the crypto market. Digital dollar. While the order did not specifically launch any new policies and programs, it urges the Federal Reserve to more seriously consider the creation of its own central bank digital currency. It also underscores the need to assess not only the benefits, but also the security and privacy risks in government use of cryptocurrencies. In quotes, the rise of digital assets creates an opportunity to strengthen leadership in the global financial system and the technological frontier, but also has substantial implications for consumer protection, financial stability, national security, and climate risk, the order states. Objectives. According to the document, the Biden administration strategy is to mobilize the fabric of government in several key areas. First, Consumer and investor protection. Second, financial stability. Third, illicit financing. Fourth, leadership in the global financial system and economic competitiveness. Fifth, financial inclusion. Sixth, responsible innovation. Seventh, evaluate benefits of create a central bank digital dollar. The central bank digital currency would do away with the fiat dollar as the world's reserve currency. This would be equivalent to the gospel passage of Jesus of Nazareth, now overturning the money tables of the money-changing merchants of 187 Western dependent nations, also known as the public rendition of the dark side. It is said that the Pleiadians delayed this development to enforce compliance in other more pressing areas. New economic system. X22 report. Birth of a new economic system. At first, we were taking off the gold standard. Now we are moving away from the petrodollar. We are getting out of the globalist system. The central bankers think maybe we can take them to the big reset, but I think they will fail, especially now when you see how countries are starting to go off the rails. You can see how Germany is reacting now and saying, in quotes, "We can't boycott Russia's oil and gas supplies because it would hurt our population more than Russia." I think European countries are gradually realizing that at this state of energy independence and security are very important. I don't think they say, in quotes, "Let's put up solar panels, let's see if we get some wind." And I think things will change very quickly in Europe because the Russian Yamal Europe pipeline has just cut off supply. This will have an impact on some countries, especially in Germany. We have to wait and see how everything develops. We are moving in the direction where the countries of Europe will no longer depend on one country. They will have diverse sources of energy, and some of them may even become energy independent, such as Spain, which buys a lot of gas in North Africa. Jubilee. Millions of Americans would have medical debt erased from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion credit reports to remove billions of dollars from the record, allowing citizens to obtain home and auto loans that had previously been denied. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion announced Friday that they would collectively remove 70% of a reported $195 billion shortfall from their collection accounts. The change targets already paid debts that are still stuck in collections, which could mark consumers' credit report for up to 7 years, even after they are paid off. The firms also plan to eliminate all unpaid debts or less than $500 in the first half of 2023, a threshold that could increase. Under the company's new guidance, new unpaid medical debts will not be added to credit reports for a full year, even after being sent to collections. Outstanding medical costs can result in consumers being denied auto, home, and college loans, as well as applications to buy and rent property. The change announced by the three credit giants, the world's three largest consumer credit agencies, seeks to help those adversely affected by such debts. Opinions. First, Greg Hunter says the Fed can't fight inflation. Second, Gregory Manarino says the Fed is back to playing its usual game. Third, Steve Penny says it is time to prepare for a currency crisis and advises buying gold and silver. Fourth, Peter Schiff says the small interest rate hike will hurt the stock market, not the gold market. Fifth, Lynette Sang says we are losing democracy and should invest our wealth in the right places. Sixth, a new world order is coming, says Alfredo Jalife-Rahme. 7. The X22 report says the Federal Reserve Bill is fading. Countries are preparing by increasing gold purchases and legalizing cryptocurrencies. 8. Dr. Jasondin, in quotes, I have physical evidence that the major bank can't cover their deposits. They are leveraged way beyond liquidity. That means a market crash. Banks can collapse. 9. Prepare for a record oil shock, says the International Energy Agency. 10. David Lifshultz says, in quotes, history repeats itself, first as a tragedy and second as a farce. New payment systems. The BRICS countries are creating a new single payment system. BRICS Pay, as part of the drive to establish a common system for retail transactions and payments between member countries. In the near future, these countries plan to introduce a special cloud platform which will connect their national payment systems. An online wallet with access to these payment systems will be developed, as well as a mobile application similar to Apple Pay, which can be installed on smartphones for purchases in any of the 5 BRICS countries, regardless of the currency in which the payment is made. Thus, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa will be able to use their own national currencies as a direct basis of exchange for external payments. This is heralded as a serious step on the road to de-dollarization. Innovative systems such as Apple Pay and Samsung Pay are already popular in China and India and have recently appeared in Russia, where on March 4, 2019, the MirPay payment service was established for card users. Mir is now available on Android-based smartphones. Russia now has its ruble backed by gold. India, China, and Russia have long had a different monetary system than SWIFT. Ripple is slowly revealing itself as the new QFS they promised. It looks like the time to flip the switch is very near. We have long speculated and predicted scenarios that would involve the event. Ukraine. First, Zelensky appeals to Israel for help as fighting breaks out in Mariupol. Second, Mariupol becomes the great battlefield of the war. Third, Ukraine denounces Russian attack on a school with 400 refugees. Fourth, Zelensky outlaws the main Ukrainian opposition party for moderation. 5. Zelensky orders Ukrainian television to conduct a 24-hour information marathon. 6. Zelensky says he wants dialogue with Putin and that if negotiations fail, it would mean World War III. 7. Foreign volunteers arriving to fight in Ukraine are turned away for lack of experience, a Foreign Legion spokesman said. 8. 13 NATO ships head for Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. 9 German minesweepers and 4 minesweepers belonging to Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. 9 and 4, 13. 9. Albania will modernize its Kukove air base with NATO assistance. Russia. First, Russia says it has attacked another mercenary base in Ukraine. Second, Russian armed forces destroy main Ukrainian military base using hypersonic missile. Third, Russian forces are on the verge of defeating Ukrainian nationalist battalion Donbas, Defense Ministry says. Fourth, Russian Defense Ministry asks Kiev to withdraw the order to militants to become Mariupol martyrs. Fifth, Russia accuses Ukrainian nationalists of the humanitarian catastrophe in Mariupol and urges them to lay down their arms and leave the city. Sixth, Russia warns of false flag attack on US diplomats. Information about the alleged plot was provided by a Ukrainian intelligence officer who turned himself in. Seventh, Russia's central bank suspends gold sales to individuals until further notice. Diplomacy. First, Turkey says Russia and Ukraine are close to a negotiated settlement. Turkey's foreign minister says that while negotiations were not easy, there is some momentum towards an agreement on key points. Second, US suggested Turkey sent its S-400s to Ukraine to help Kiev. Third, Slovakia, Ukraine's neighbor, begins the deployment of NATO air defense system. The Patriot system will not replace the Russian S-300, Slovakia's defense minister said. Fourth, Finland's president says there is a great risk of escalation in Europe as the country debates joining NATO. 5. Ukraine crisis could affect global growth, OECD says. 6. Deutsche Bank urges postponement of new sanctions against Russia because the measures could also have a negative impact on Europe. 7. Germany and Qatar agree on the long-term energy partnerships. 8. France freezes 22 billion euros of Russian central bank assets. 9. South Korea seeks to continue trade with Russia despite sanctions. 10. Taiwan will fight hard to protect its sovereignty from authoritarian China. Spain. First, Spain's change of position on Sahara worsens relationship with Algeria, main tap for natural gas. Second, Algeria recalls its ambassador in Madrid for consultations, following the decision of the Spanish government to change its position on the future of Western Sahara. Third, the desperate cry of the Spanish countryside resounds in the streets of Madrid, demanding urgent help. Reactions. First, Washington uses the conflict to drive a wedge between Russia and China. Second, Boris Johnson hints that China should stop being neutral over Ukraine crisis. Third, China claims to be on the right side of history amid Ukraine crisis. Fourth, China demands answers on biological laboratories in Ukraine. Fifth, former US intelligence officer Scott Reiter opines that Ukrainian neo-Nazis ruined the Minsk agreements. Sixth, US rapprochement with Venezuela. Seeking to isolate Russia over Ukraine crisis, the US is turning to a Venezuelan government it previously called illegitimate. Seventh, Donald Trump vows to return to the White House in 2024 at rally in Florida. 8. Trump says Biden fails to stop Ukraine crisis because he fears nuclear Russia. Polls find more than one-third of Americans are willing to risk nuclear war with Russia over Ukraine. 10. A man shocks a Texas city council with his rap about killing Putin and, in quotes, going crazy over Ukraine. 11. Biden picks a drag queen for a government job according to the Daily Mail. Sam Brinton, 34, announced last month that he had been hired for a position at the Department of Energy. Brinton was born male, but now identifies as non-binary, is married to a man, and they live in Maryland. In their spare time, they are Sister Rose Ray Active, in the Order of Perpetual Indulgence, a group of drag queens who dress as nuns to raise awareness about transphobia. Mexico. First, US conditions money on Mexico for militarization, but is its main arms buyer. Second, chaos has erupted on the US-Mexico border as special forces arrested mafia leaders and cartel members. Third, 170,000 migrants pile up at the southern US border ready to storm the border. More than 170,000 illegal aliens are waiting for Joe Biden to end President Trump's restrictive policy that allowed immediate removal of illegal aliens during a public health emergency. The invasion is days away. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.